welcome back to Design Draw Do. Today's video is actually one that I filmed last week because we are moving this week, and I intended for it to be a long form video where I would be speaking live, but it turns out that I found it quite difficult to talk whilst drawing. I'm not sure how I did it last time, to be honest, but I decided to turn it into kind of a time lapse with a voiceover of me talking. So enjoy the rest of the voiceover. Today's topic that I wanted to talk about was how to make time to do art even when you have all the excuses in the world. So I'm going to try and talk through what I'm doing as well as insert tips here and there. So the first drawing that I'm doing is actually a line drawing. It's just like kind of like a one-line drawing. I realize half the time my hand is obscuring what I'm doing, but yeah, it's basically just I'm looking at the reference photo and just kind of drawing one line pretty much, and using a 0.5 pen for that. It's actually inspired by my previous video where I did a sketch when we were moving out, and I was basically trying to capture the view in front of me. It was quite an easy and relaxed way of drawing, and it's really good for people who kind of want to learn to let go, like me. So that's the drawing that I'm doing. That's the first drawing. The first tip I have is to set something up on your easel or your desk or whatever you're using beforehand. So it's kind of like meal prepping in the sense that you won't have to think about, okay, what paper am I going to use? What size is it going to be? What materials am I going to use? Just keep everything laid out. What I like to do is I like to keep a piece of paper ready on my easel, and I keep my whatever nearby, so pastels, pens, whatever, right on my desk so that I can just pick it up and start drawing straight away, so I don't have to think about doing the prep, because it's actually the prep work that you just can't be bothered to do, because once you've done that, then it becomes a lot easier to actually get started. So during the drawing, I went in with the green felt tip. The felt tip that I showed actually wasn't working very well, so I picked up another one, and then I started colouring it. And then I actually wanted to also add some grey tones into the sky, because the sky was quite overcast in the photo, so I just wanted to have that contrast. I think grey and green makes a very nice contrast, and adding that grey really made the green pop even more. So the next thing I suppose you can do is to just make a mark, and make any mark. Seriously, the first thing you have to do is stop the blankness of that paper or the canvas or the sketchbook from staring right back at you and just making it really daunting to even put pen to paper. So I would say don't be precious about it. And if anything, a cool tip you can do is, you know, right before bed or just 5 minutes, I don't know, when you're brushing your teeth or whatever, you can just pick up whatever material you're mark making with and just make a few lines. You know, make a few lines, sleep on it, wake up the next day, and when you have some time, you can start drawing, so that when you actually get to drawing, there's already something there for you. I find that it's so much easier for me to start or continue drawing when there's actually a foundation or a framework there, which is able to support me. And especially when I have no clue what to draw, which happens a lot of the time, surprisingly. You would think that I've been doing art for so long, I would know what to draw by now, but I don't. It's just, yeah, I think it's just something, it's a lifelong journey, of course. So that was the second tip. And then the third tip is to keep things neat and organized. So obviously this is just a general Marie Kondo life hack kind of tip, is just keep things organized, know where they are, so you're not, you know, kind of scrabbling for stuff. I like having dividers in my desks, or just kind of stacking things, keeping things nearby, near to your desk or near to where you're working. Very useful, very basic tip, but a very useful tip nonetheless. The second drawing or set of drawings that I'm doing is me just splitting the page. And New York is very tall. It's a very tall city, so I kind of wanted to capture that in some of the things that they have and some of the elements that they have. And for this one, I used a brush pen. These set of drawings I'm not super happy about. I think at this point my motivation started dwindling, and I just got really tired, and I was just kind of like, meh, I don't really want to do anything right now. But I knew I had to keep pushing. If the video wasn't rolling, I would have just stopped right there. and just turned on YouTube and wasted the rest of my day. But for the sake of the video, I'm continuing and trooping through. So my third tip is, or is this the fourth tip? I don't know. Anyway, the next tip is to start really small, like on a teeny tiny piece of paper. So one, you don't feel like you're wasting anything. Two, you know, it becomes a lot less daunting to actually fill a page. And three, you can get a lot more work done in that amount of time. Like say, for example, you have 5 small pieces of paper or whatever, 5 small canvases, you can just fill that up really quickly, and it gives you more of a sense of accomplishment, which gives you more of that motivation. So yeah, I would suggest doing that in the beginning, is to just use tiny scraps of paper, you know, and just get comfortable doing that before you move on to bigger works. Then for the third page that I was doing, I was going to do a spread, but I honestly got too tired. So I decided to kind of draw moments or kind of smaller detailed elements within New York. So rather than focusing on a big scene, I thought it would be more interesting to try and, you know, zoom in to things, which is what you saw me doing on the iPad. And yeah, so that's what I did. I kind of split the page into separate little boxes and just kind of zoomed in, and I used the Inktense Derwent pencil for that. The final tip I have for making time to do art, actually it's not the final, it's second to final tip, is to use dead time, to use the, you know, the short times that you have in between waiting for dinner, in between going to work, you know, waking up, maybe you have 10-20 minutes to spare. I find that I get more productive work done then. I find it actually very difficult to work on weekends because there's too much free time for me on the weekends. That's obviously not a problem, it's just that I procrastinate a lot. So if I don't have things to do in between, I'm just gonna not do anything. So that's why I find that I do a lot more art on the weekdays, and I'm able to produce art more quickly because I don't have the time to waste. So, you know, I'll do art during the 20 minutes before I go to work, I'll do art during my lunch break. And it's so ironic because when I'm doing art in that limited amount of time, I'll always think, oh, I wish I had more time to finish this, but when I have the time on the weekends, then I just can't be bothered. So it's this really strange dichotomy, to be honest. And my final tip that I have, which has really helped me personally, is to carry around a small notebook wherever you go. I carry an A6 sketchbook. It's a soft cover. It's kind of like the Moleskines, but it's from Paper Chase, I believe, so it's a lot less expensive. And it's just been so useful because I just keep some pens in my bag and I'll just draw wherever I am. I'll draw on the bus, I'll draw on the metro, I'll draw at work. I like to draw people when I'm at work. Like, I'll window watch the people, is that the word? Yeah, I'll look through people out the window and kind of just draw them. And because we're on the 5th floor, they don't see me looking at them, so it's good. But it's nice because, you know, it teaches me to draw faster because I have to capture the gestures of the people in a few seconds pretty much because they're walking. But anyway, that's an aside. The point is, this small sketchbook, it's small enough and compact enough to fit into pretty much any bag that I have, or even pockets. It fits into a lot of my pockets, so it's great. And I would also suggest, if you don't mind the holes, you can also get a ring-bound sketchbook. I found that it's really nice to kind of just insert a pen into the ring binding and just carry it around, so it's kind of like a 2-in-1 notebook, whereas when you have just a normal spine, like a book spine, you have to carry the pen around separately, or you can hook it onto the cover if the cover's strong enough to hold it. But I'm kind of not a fan of the ring bind spine because it, you know, prevents you from using the book in landscape. So yeah, I mean, it's obviously up to personal preference, but make sure that the notebook is small enough for you to be able to use on the go, pretty much. And those are my final tips that I have to make time to do art. I'm sure there are many other tips, and I'm sure I've missed out a lot, but you know, I think those are just some of the ones that I personally use, and I think it's really important that I only share tips that I use. So that is all I have for you guys today. I think I'll just leave you to watch the rest of the video. It shouldn't be too much longer, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye!